guys, welcome back to my channel and thanks for joining me today. I hope everyone has had a wonderful start to their week. As many of you probably saw from my last vlog, I was out of the country last week in London and Paris on my very first vacation this whole year. So if you're wondering why I was a little bit absent on social media, that's why. But I'm back, and even though I'm still trying to get over this darn cold, I'm here and ready to talk about all things writing. Recently, someone had a question on my Ask Me Anything page on Tumblr that really got me thinking. They asked how to balance multiple writing projects, as well as how to stay focused on just one when you might have 2 or 3 ideas bouncing around in your head. They refer to it as shiny idea syndrome, which is where you either A, are working on your current book project and a shiny new idea pops into your head, so you drop your old book project to start working on the new one, or B, you have an idea for a new book project, but your current one is taking up all of your energy and you can never seem to find time to work on the new project. I'm guilty of the first one because when I get a new idea, I'm normally so excited about it that I'll just drop my current project to work on the new one. But it's important to remember that your old or current project was once a new idea too. So how do we make it new and shiny and get excited about it again? And on the flip side, how can we stay focused on our new project when we just can't seem to tear ourselves away from our current project? I've come up with 7 tips that I hope will help you stay focused and balance multiple writing projects. Number 1, write down everything in its appropriate notebook. I used to write everything down in a single notebook. And this did work for a while, but the more I wrote down in that single notebook for multiple book projects, the more confused I became. I started flipping through them page after page, trying to mark the different areas so that I knew what was for book A and what was for book B. I'm sure you can imagine that things started to get really chaotic when I had ideas for one series that consisted of 3 books and a completely different series that consists of 6 or 7 books. And then there's another nonfiction project that's completely unrelated. And yes, I had all of those ideas in a single notebook. So the first step here is to use different notebooks for each one of your book projects. If it's a series and it's a large notebook, then you can probably get away with using that one notebook for all the ideas for that series. But to use one notebook for multiple series, nuh-uh, honey. Grab a new notebook. Trust me, you'll be glad that you did. Number 2, organize your thoughts. As you can probably imagine, it's much easier to organize your thoughts when you have your ideas in separate notebooks. I think I've mentioned this in a previous video, and the topic I believe was on outlining your story. But once I have all the ideas for a book, I write each idea down on an index card. My ideas usually come to me in the form of scenes, so this actually makes it a lot easier for me. Once I have all of my ideas or scenes written on my individual index cards, then I'll start to organize them into a storyline that makes some sort of sense. I always keep blank index cards with me so that if new scenes pop into my head while I'm organizing, I can write them down and then just slide them into their proper place. Please note that this is just my creative process and it may not work for you. And if it doesn't, that's okay. The more time that you spend in your creative zone, the more clear your writing process will become. Number 3, compartmentalize. The definition of compartmentalize is to divide into sections or categories. As the definition suggests, in order to stay focused on your current book project or jump into your new one, you'll have to learn how to compartmentalize. Forewarning, this is no easy feat and it is not something that can be learned overnight. Compartmentalizing takes practice, patience, and energy. For example, say something happens to you that completely ruins your day, like someone flipping you off in traffic when they're the ones that cut you off, or multiple people telling you that you look tired at work when you actually put a lot of effort into your outfit or makeup that day. Or maybe you have a disagreement with your partner, friend, family member. And yes, if you couldn't tell, these are all things that tend to put me in a bad mood. Now, most people would stay in that bad mood and write it off as just one of those days. But the people who can compartmentalize can take those negative feelings, put them in a box or a compartment in their brain, secure the lid tightly, and shove it back to the furthest depths of their subconscious. And they can go about having a spectacular rest of their day. Compartmentalization is not for the weary, so don't be disappointed if it's really difficult for you to catch on to. For our writing projects, we have to compartmentalize our ideas for book A, put them in a box, shove them to the back of our minds, if we ever want a chance to work on book B with our undivided attention. Number 4, one project a day, don't stray. Yes, that rhymes. This is something that I still struggle with and am improving upon daily. Every morning when I wake up, I tap into my writing brain to see which project I should focus on for that day. Each day is different, which means I'm going to feel different, which means my focus is going to be different. If I'm feeling more analytical, then I tend to focus my efforts on a manuscript that needs editing. If I'm feeling creative with the side of organized, then I tend to dedicate that day to outlining. And on the days when I have ideas coming out of my eyes, ears, and mouth, I tend to dedicate those days to writing. Normally those ideas will be for one particular book project, so I don't really have to pick which book project I'm going to work on. I recommend picking one project a day and sticking to it because you're going to be so much more productive and get a lot more done if you say, I'm going to work on book A today, than if you were to bounce around editing, outlining, and writing for your other 8 book projects. So when you wake up in the morning, tap into how you're feeling and use that energy to focus on your chosen project. Number 5, get in the right zone. More often than not, things can happen to us throughout our day that can throw us off our game, anger us, rile us up, or exhaust us. It's life, it happens. But as mentioned in the previous step, you chose your book project for the day, and by golly, you're going to stick to it. So it's important to get yourself in the right zone for said book project. Whether it's music or certain playlists that get you in the mood to write for book A, or a different writing space for book A than for book B, or a Pinterest board you created with all things related to book A, get yourself in the zone. I can tell you that for me, I actually have different writing spaces. For all 3 books in the Alpha Drive trilogy, I wrote most of them at my desk in my home office or in my bed. But for my dark fantasy series, I wrote the majority of that manuscript on the couch in the living room. And for my nonfiction project, I've written most of that at Starbucks. Sometimes having a certain place or routine associated with certain book projects will help you stay focused on that project. If you don't have the luxury of changing up your writing space, try using different candle scents, drinking tea instead of coffee, wearing different outfits, or even writing outside and being in nature for a change. It may not work for everyone, but I know when I sit my bum down on the couch in the living room, it's dark fantasy writing time. Number 6, the 10-minute rule. I can't remember who told me this when I was younger, but I know it had something to do with homework. They told me that when I didn't feel like doing homework, if I would just sit down at the kitchen table for 10 minutes and start doing my homework, it was pretty much guaranteed that I would sit there and finish the whole assignment. And you know what? It worked. Every single time. I'd like to think that this is because I'm a person who likes to finish what I start, but I've come to realize that I think it's actually part of human nature. When you start something and you start getting into it, 10 minutes go by and you'll think to yourself, well, I'm already a third of the way through this, so I may as well just keep going and finish it. If you've never tried this before, I highly recommend it. I've said in many of my previous videos that starting and making the decision to start something is always the hardest part. Sit down at your desk or wherever your writing space is, open up a Word document on your laptop or whatever writing program you use, set a timer for 10 minutes, and just start typing. I can almost guarantee that when that 10 minutes is up, you'll want to keep going. And if you don't, hopefully one of the previous steps I mentioned will help keep you focused. And last but not least, number 7, be patient with yourself. Writing a book is a marathon, not a sprint. Oh, I know, how cliche, but you know what? I don't care because it's true. Learning how to write a book will take time, and so will learning how to balance multiple book projects. I hate to break it to you, but getting the first book down is actually a piece of cake. Each book after that gets a little harder, not so much in the sense of writing it, but keeping all of your ideas at bay and in line with one another becomes a lot more challenging. You just end up having more to work with. Storylines can get crossed, it takes more creativity to differentiate your characters, and keeping everything straight can sometimes feel like an impossible feat. But if you can find a way to stay organized, take a deep breath, and focus on one project at a time, you will be fine. I promise. That's all that I have for you guys today. If you like this video, please thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. My debut novel, The Alpha Drive, is available for purchase on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, The Book Depository, and Books A Million. The sequel, The Order of Omega, is available for pre-order on Amazon right now, and it will be released on Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. I am also offering signed copies of The Alpha Drive. I will leave all the links down below for you to check out. During the month of October, I am participating in something called #ProjectWriteTube, where I will be collaborating with other writers and YouTubers We will all be posting videos with tips and tricks on how to get through NaNoWriMo this November. My video goes up tomorrow, Wednesday, October 19th, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I will leave the link to the hashtag Project Write To playlist down below for you guys to check out. I've also teamed up with Audible, the largest provider of digital audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from, to give you guys some free stuff. Unfortunately, my books are not available in audio format just yet. I need to sell a few more copies before I can tackle that one. But you can get another great book of your choosing in audiobook format if you go to www.audibletrial.com/KristenMartinBooks. And not only can you download a free audiobook of your choosing, but you will also get a free 30-day trial. I will leave the link down below for you guys. I am now offering first chapter critiques for $65 a pop. Head on over to my website at www.KristenMartinBooks.com and click on the first chapter critique tab to get more information. I will also leave this link down below. As always, I really appreciate all of you who have subscribed to my channel, and I'm getting close to 3,000 subscribers, which really, it still just blows my mind. So I will be doing a 3K giveaway. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to my channel to win awesome prizes such as signed copies of my books, a $15 Amazon gift card, or a first chapter critique. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to win bookish goodies every month. I post new videos on Tuesdays. I will see you guys next time. Bye. I hear footsteps. Where are you? And I'm sick. And I'm sick. You haven't left? What you gonna do? I'm gonna turn this off real fast.